everyone, this is Brenda from Mainly Hybrid Homesteading. Today I'm going to be showing you what I've been working on and how I've been preserving dry foods for long-term storage. And there's different ways that you can do it. You can use Mylar bags and or canning jars. I prefer to use, or you can use a food saver. I've been using canning jars for most of my dry goods. For me, it's been working. It helps to keep critters out, and unless you live in an area, you know, where there's frequent earthquakes, that kind of thing, then you may not want to use them because your jars will fall off the shelves and break. And the way I do prepare my jars is I wash them in hot soapy water, or to save time, I just run them through the dishwasher. Got to make things easier, right? So, and I also sterilize them in the oven empty. I put the oven on at 250 degrees and I leave them in there for 15 minutes. And when I do take them out, I put them on a towel just so they're not going to have a big temperature shock going from the oven to a cool counter. And I also let them cool completely before I put anything in them for a couple reasons. Again, you don't want that temperature shock, and you don't want any condensation to happen and get moisture in there, and then your food will get moldy. So you don't want that. So today I'm going to be putting up some popcorn, which lasts forever anyway, but I'm going to be getting it out of its plastic container and putting it in a glass jar so it'll last even longer. So just have my canning jar here with, this is just a canning funnel, comes in very handy. And I just like to try to tap things down, save space so you can put more food in there. I am going to want to leave 1 inch headspace at the top of the jar before I seal it. Okay, so that looks ready to go. There's a couple options at this point. You can use an oxygen absorber to get the oxygen out of there, or if you have a food saver and it has the attachment to remove the air from the jar, that's also a good option. I went with, I do have oxygen absorbers, and I didn't want to invest in a food saver again. I've had them in the past, and I don't know, I found that the food packets didn't always keep their seal. I think maybe just being rustled around in the freezer, then they would lose their seal and get freezer burn, and it just didn't seem worth it, I guess. So to save money and not have to rely on power, I wanted an option that would help me preserve my food if I needed to. So I did. You do have to purchase these jar sealer lids from Food Saver. There was about $25, and I'll leave a link down below for that. And they came with a tubing, which normally would go from in the hole here of the jar lid, and then there was another attachment that looked like this that you would plug into your food saver, and you could get the air out that way. But I'm going to be using a brake bleeder, so I needed to make something that would fit onto the brake bleeder. So the brake bleeder did come with this tubing, and I cut a small section of it, and my food saver tubing fit right inside, and it makes a good seal on its own. I did put a little Gorilla Tape here because initially I was having an issue with getting it to work to seal the jars, but I'll tell you what happened. When I got my lids, I really don't think that they arrived this way, but this gasket comes out and I washed everything and I paid attention to how it came to me so I could put it back together the same way, and I'm pretty sure I put it back the same way, but it wasn't sealing and it was extremely hard to get this on top of the jar. So this is the correct way. You'll be able to fold this little part of the gasket down, and that's the correct way that it should be on there. That way you won't have any issues. So, and I forgot to mention, I also wash all my lids and my bands, and I also sterilize them in the oven. In a baking dish, and I kind of separate them so they can all dry out and get sterilized. So I've done that with these, and I'm gonna put this on, and it goes on very easy. It was going on very hard when I had it the other way. So this is the brake bleeder. It comes in a kit, and obviously it's made for brakes, bleeding brakes on a vehicle. And it did come with a couple sections of tubing, and it comes with different little attachments. And this tubing I already attached it, and it does work well. You just have to, this doesn't like really fit in there snugly, so you do have to hold it, and this attaches to your brake bleeder, but it does work. But today I'm going to be using this. And then you'll see on the brake bleeder there is a pressure gauge, and some people say to get it up between 15 and 20. I've been having a hard time getting it up higher than 12-ish, but you'll feel a difference when you're pumping that it has, it's getting harder to pump and it's not going up any higher. Then usually you'll have a seal at that point. And sometimes you'll hear a ping as the lid gets sucked in. So we're just going to attach these two pieces. And I'll bring the jar closer so you can see the gauge, hopefully. So I do have to tell you, I did quite a few jars this way the other day, and it did aggravate my carpal tunnel. It's fine today, but usually it's easier if you lay the handle on the counter and you're just pumping the top. But if you have a lot of upper arm strength, or if you want to get your hubby involved, then it won't be an issue. Okay, where are we up to? Yeah, it's about 13 right now, and I am feeling some resistance. Okay, let's check it out. So it's sucked in, and look at that. Nice seal. And I had done this other jar a couple days ago, and I also did some pink salt, because you're not supposed to use oxygen absorbers anyway with salt or sugar, because they'll turn hard as a brick. So I will put the band on nice and snug, and I will keep this on my counter for a couple days just to make sure that it has sealed before I put it away into storage. I do label my jars with the date that I put them up, And if it's, you know, you can tell this is popcorn, but like for different kinds of rice, you may not know if it's jasmine rice or regular rice or minute rice. I do write that on the label as well, so I know how long I've had it in storage. So the other option is the oxygen absorbers. And here I have some minute oats, and I'm gonna top it off. So oxygen absorbers are very convenient. I do get mine from the LDS, the Mormon Church, and I'll leave a link down below. I got 100 of them, the 300cc oxygen absorbers for like $10, and the shipping was like $3. And they do sell Mylar bags as well. Okay, and you do want to make sure, especially when you're working with something like that's kind of powdery, that your rim is clean. So as far as oxygen absorbers go, I store my spare ones in a jar. You want to use a jar that's, you know, like if I only had 2 or 3, I'd use a much smaller jar. A quart jar requires 100cc oxygen absorber, and a gallon jar requires 400cc oxygen absorber, and a 5-gallon bucket would be 2000cc absorber. But you would be using a Mylar bag within the bucket kind of thing. It's okay to use an absorber that is more than required for the jar that you're using. That's totally fine. So usually when I'm using the oxygen absorbers, I'll fill the jars that I'm going to be using the absorbers with, and so they'll all be ready to go, because you want to do this quickly, because as soon as I open this jar, it's activating the absorbers, and I want these to still be viable when I use them again. So I'm going to quickly open my jar, just stick it on the top there, and seal it back up. And then again with the lid and the cover that is going on this jar. So again, I will keep this on the counter for a couple days. The larger jars do take quite a few hours, and then you'll hear a little ping, and you'll definitely see that the lid has been inverted. And again, you can take the band off and make sure that it has created a seal. If not, your oxygen absorbers may not be good anymore, or you may need to add another one. Just something to keep an eye on, and something that I plan on. I'm pretty new to the prepping scene, and so I do plan on checking my storage at least twice a year, maybe more often, we'll see. Just to check on my jars and my cans to make sure everything looks good. There's no bulging cans, there's no, you know, I haven't lost the seal on my jars, and to look at the food to make sure that, you know, it looks okay. The oxygen, getting rid of the oxygen will help get rid of any bugs or weevils or little eggs that might be in there that might hatch. It just depletes them of oxygen, and nothing happens with them. I'm sure you've probably opened a bag of flour or maybe a box of cereal, and then things start moving, and there's nothing nothing more disgusting than that, and discouraging too if you think you're saving food and it's spoiled. So I will leave a link down below to Morgan from Rogue Preparedness. Has a very nice list that she's put together with another prepper on what you can use oxygen absorbers for and what foods not to use them with. And I think it's a very valuable resource. This is the first one that I have come across, and I've been searching, you know, because some people are conflicting with their information, and as like with the popcorn, for instance, some people will say an oxygen absorber is fine, and some say it isn't. So I just vacuum sealed it to be safe, and yeah, I mean, it's gonna make your food last a lot longer, and you'll know that it's secure, and it'll be there when you want to use it. I hope this has been helpful to you today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.